I would like to thank you for letting me interview you. And the first question would be, how can you please introduce yourself and give me a little bit of your background, please?
Sure. My name is Coach Kokia. I teach here at Dominguez High School in Compton. This is my 13th year teaching PE, and I attended San Diego State University for my undergrad, and I studied kinesiology with emphasis on physical education, and I went through National University for my teaching credential program.
Okay. So what influenced you to begin this career?
Um, One, I like sports, fitness, and working with students, and so I decided to make a career out of it. Since I like both, so that's what led me to teaching PE.
Okay. So the first question would be, how do you introduce your new activities to a diversity of students with different levels of fitness?
With that, I do a lot of modeling. I would, first introduce them what I expect out of them. For example, in stretching, I would do a lot of modeling. For example, in stretching, if I wanted to stretch the triceps, then I would visually perform the movement myself, and so they could grasp exactly what type of movements that they are to perform. So even if it's just students that are not proficient in English, they could see what
What you trying to show?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. How do you help students coordinate movements?
Well, I would, once I get them in stretching, and I would go around and correct them. So
Okay.
if they're not performing a certain movement correctly, then I would actually go around and show them the proper technique and whatever movement it may be. So for example, shooting a basketball, if their elbows are not in a 90 degrees and with their shooting elbows, then I would correct it by
Okay.
actually showing them and aligning their elbows correctly to perform that shot. So I would go around and verbally correct them, and as well as visually correct them.
Okay, that's good. Do you think students who have parents that stay active are more willing to participate in class?
Yeah, I think it's a justification for them to motivate them to even participate even more, because they see that their parents are fit, and the parents are constantly encouraging them that fitness is important for lifelong health. Also, if parents could teach their kids about the importance of diet and being physically active every day, even if no matter what age you are, it's still important.
Okay.
So if the kids see that, then of course the kids are more willing to participate in PE.
Okay, I understand. How do you know if your students stay active outside of school with parents?
Well, I don't know. I'd have to actually ask the kids if they're staying physically active. I mean, you can't be judgmental by how a person looks, because sometimes genetics could play a part.
True.
In their physique. They may be physically active every day. They could work out 24 hours a day, but then sometimes their genetics just play a role in how they look. So you can't be judgmental about that.
Okay.
So I would have to ask them personally, or if I actually see them, they're being active outside of PE.
Okay, yeah. How do you improve your outcomes knowledge of movement mechanics?
With that, I'd have to explain to the class about physics, such as, for example, if you want to decrease your chances of getting injured, then you would have to, decrease the amount of force exerted onto your body. Force is
Okay.
equal to mass times acceleration. So that is relative to the proportion
Okay.
of force. So if you increase mass and acceleration, then the force goes up as well. So you could apply that to safety and also your risk of injury.
Okay, so basically you could relate to Newton's third law of action reaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because for every action, there's always going to be an equal and opposite reaction.
Okay. So do you have your own code of ethics that make you a helpful and respectful professional?
My code of ethics basically in the classroom is regardless of how anyone looks or their beliefs, you just have to teach your class from the very beginning about respect. Treat others the way you want to be respected or treated, regardless. And you have to just be consistent with your rules, enforce them, and the kids will react to that in a positive way.
Okay. What is the best way to motivate your students?
Best way I would say is establish early goals from the very beginning, how they want to achieve those goals, and always encourage them that it's always not going to be good. There's going to be good and bad. It's a matter of you just sticking with it and not let anyone take away your goals in life.
Okay. What makes some motivated and others not? Like what can make a student more motivated than another not being that as much?
Well, sometimes we have to deal with external problems. Some kids, they have problems at home that we don't have control over.
True.
So you have to kind of relate and put yourself in their shoes, because we do have kids that are, for example, in a foster system, and sometimes they feel like they're given up hope, or they don't have anybody who they could call parents who really care for them, and so they feel that the whole world is against them. So you have to kind of really find out where they're coming from and try to establish sort of like an improvement. So if kids are not motivated, then just look at their effort, more on their effort rather than it's either this way or that way. So they'll respect you more if you do that.
Okay, so how do you help them develop intrinsic motivation for themselves?
Intrinsic motivation for themselves. I would say just visualizing. If you could ask them about how do you visualize yourself in the long run, for example, like a fitness goal, whether it's losing weight or getting more muscle, or it's more speed, then I would ask them, how would you achieve those fitness goals?
Okay, that's good. What can you say about the research methods used in the field work, such as the progressive aerobic cardiovascular endurance runs, which is also known as the PACER?
That's a tough question. I would look at those fitness tests more as an improvement rather than a fine line where, let's say, okay, 10 minutes for a mile run is the cutoff time for you to pass the mile run. It is a endurance test, but however, each individual has their own aerobic capacity. Some people are just more naturally, they have more cardiovascular endurance rather than somebody else. So I would say they should just rather have a standard on their endurance time, and then also looking at improvement. So if they're improving on their mile run time, then that should be a way for them to pass the test rather than just a cutoff.
Okay.
Based
Good.
on their age.
True. So, how has physical education changed in the last 10 years?
From